Hello, everybody. It's Sunday morning. It's game day. Let's get this started. So, we're going to drop the intro and we are going to have a great show for y'all. Thank you for coming. All right, we'll be back in a second. Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming back. So it is Sunday. So you know what time it is. It's going to be our Sunday report. It's that show that we're trying to develop and build and just break it down. So on Sundays, we will be talking about the 49ers, of course, but NFL in general as well. So we'll try to go through as fast as we can with the panels that we have, the people that might join and the people who might not. If you're in the chat and you want to say something, just drop it in the chat, put a comment, and I'll try to read it as fast as I can. So if you guys didn't know, there is a game going on right now. Let me double check the score. It should be still going on if I was looking correctly. And if you haven't checked your fantasy lineup, you should probably do that now. You should, honestly, I think you should have your fantasy lineup ready to go Wednesday night. But if you are late or something and need a little bit more time, then there you go. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my buddy down here at the bottom as I'm checking the score. Good morning, David.
What's going on, man?
So I think we have a game going on. I'm trying to pull my score up so I can see it.
Yeah, Jacksonville and Buffalo.
Yeah, and maybe I was sleeping, but I thought Jacksonville was winning. Sorry about the background noise. I have Holly coming in and out. So if you don't know about Holly, now you know. Holly is my little one. Shout out to Steve-O, Randy, D.I. Tara, Mrs. Tara. And that's Mr. Tara, Miss Teradome. And we have Steve-O. Thank you so much for coming through. And if you guys didn't know, the Teradomes are in San Francisco right now. They're in the Bay Area. So if you follow them on Twitter, they've shown a lot of great pictures of them being at the stadium. They're right next to Joe Montana. I got a nice picture of Teradome standing there with his hands up, just like Joe. And it's awesome. Awesome. I think they also went to the Warriors game, if I'm correct. That's what it looked like was happening.
So the score in the UK is the Jacksonville 11, Buffalo 7. It is almost halftime.
Oh, boy. Awesome. So, yes, it sounds like they did go to the Warrior game. And it was, if I'm correct, it was the Warriors and the Lakers. And I can't really tell you who I'm truly rooting for in that one because it's kind of like the hometown, group, your hometown team, and then the team that, maybe your dad and you kind of. So, of course, I'd like to see a good game in that. Of course, I'll have to double check the score later. But shout out to the Sentinel Football Channel. If you guys don't know about the Sentinel, you are hearing it here. He has a great channel as well. He supports a lot of different people as well. So, yeah, I just found the game. Okay, so we are ready to go. Bills haven't been shut out at halftime in 53 weeks. All right, that's actually a good stat. So the Bills are a super team. Would you agree with that or not, David?
I don't know about super team. I mean,
okay.
They do have some good players in some key positions. That they actually lost some good players this last offseason. But they seem like they do pretty good every year, but then they hit the playoffs and they hit a speed bump like, this guy named Patrick Mahomes.
The Bills definitely seem to have two nemesis, two arch rivals that have grown over the last couple of years. It's the Bengals and it's the Chiefs. And both of those teams seem to have I don't know, maybe they have like a cloud over him right now, but they don't seem to be firing. Maybe it's the beginning of the season, like it takes a couple games to get into midseason form or what. But you look at
Mhm.
us right now and we're rocking and rolling. And we've been in the same history last couple of years that they've been in, where we've been right there at the door knocking. So would you agree that the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Bills are the three teams in the AFC to compete in the Super Bowl?
Yes, I have to make it foreign for the Dolphins in there though.
Okay. The
If their
reason I'm not
defense
going,
gets rolling,
mhm.
they're going to be a problem.
And see, that's the issue I think with the Dolphins is I haven't really seen their defense have to win a game for them at this point yet, and I haven't seen that yet. I've seen the offense go out there and be very electrifying, very very wow. You put 70 points up on somebody, that's definitely gonna we'll be talking about that all the way until next year, right? We'll be talking
Oh
about that
yeah.
until someone else does it, right? So all right, let's start out with our first game. It's already been played, and I think everybody kind of woke up to that. How about those Bears, huh?
I don't think I think that everyone involved in the pick'ems picked Washington because look at what the Bears did last week. They were up 21 points and they just didn't end up winning the game. And the Washington came back on them. They did. They came back on them. The Bears were able to pull it out, but I it's kind of like the Bears are that team that you don't know if they're going to win the next game or if they're just going to, you just don't know what they're going to do. Same thing with like the Colts. The Texans, they're kind of a question mark too. I mean, if they end up in the playoffs, then D'Amico Ryan should be up for Coach of the Year because of how bad they were last year. You know,
So I was a little bit surprised with Chicago, but Chicago does have a pretty good quarterback. Even if we want to make fun of him and say he doesn't have wide receivers or anything, he's got a lot of playing time up there in his head, and he's got a lot of the intangibles. And if you guys remember, the Niners were thinking about picking him up instead of trading. So it's not surprising that he's doing good or he can throw it the way he can throw it or play. I watched the highlights a little bit yesterday of the breakdown of that game because I wanted to see it in 10 minutes instead. Just a second. I got Holly. Just a second.
there we go. There
All
she
right.
is.
I got Holly, everybody. So if you have any questions, Holly will help answer them as well. But the Chicago Washington game, it's Chicago's a lot better of a team than people want to give them credit for, and I'm safe to say that. I'm not going to say they're going to go and win the Super Bowl or go 13-4 or 14-3, something crazy like that. But I definitely think they're going to be competing for at least that number 3 spot in the NFC North. But Washington's one of those blue collar teams, and I would put them like right there, like with the Texans, maybe with the Titans, maybe with the Chargers, those nitty gritty teams that it's like maybe put them in with Detroit in the same category because there's a certain point where they're coming to play. You think you're the better team. You think, okay, we can outperform them here or there, but at the end of the day, you're walking into a slugfest. So with those teams, it's always going to be a dogfight. And I think Chicago's starting to put themselves into that category where at one point, yeah, they were just a pushover. We're like, they're a rebuilding franchise. Well, they've rebuilt. They've rebuilt quite a bit. And you know what they've got going on for them right now? They have confidence in that young quarterback of theirs.
Yep.
All right, so we talked a little bit about Jacksonville and Buffalo, and you know how I feel about Jacksonville. If you folks don't know about Jacksonville and you don't know about the hair is legitimate, okay? Sometimes you get the right hair in the right situation and you just don't care. You wave it in the air, and Trevor Lawrence has had that hair since he's been throwing the football. And if someone tells him to cut it, I don't know what's going to happen because that guy, one, he's got one of the best passes in the league, and he probably has the best hair in the league. So shout out to Sunshine and Jacksonville. Let me bring on Johnny.
What's going on, Brian? Good morning. Good morning, David.
Good morning,
Morning.
Johnny. So we're glad you're here, and we're going to jump into the Niner talk a little bit. We're going to run through the schedule real quick, and then we'll get into a little bit of our fun topics. So with Buffalo and Jacksonville, we kind of just talked about that briefly. The game's going on, so we'll see what happens there. If anybody has any injury reports as we're going through the schedule, the week game for today, then just let us know. Houston and Atlanta. We've already made our picks, but if you guys want to elaborate to the pick or talk a little bit, that's fine. I said Atlanta. Tony said Houston, my wife. And these two teams, Atlanta they are at the point of rebuilding that went the wrong way. They went and got Kyle Pitts. They went and changed a lot of things. And now they're at the point where they're like, we still need a quarterback. And they got a quarterback, but I'm not sure if they're going to give this guy enough time. I almost think they moved off of Matt Ryan too soon. What would your thoughts be, David?
Matty Ice is actually still a free agent. I think he's peaked, had a great career, never won a Super Bowl, but he had a great career and he's just pretty much done at this point. I don't see them. I mean, the Colts have Anthony Richardson, the rookie QB, and he has actually looked pretty decent for the first several games, but then he got hurt. And now they bring in Gardner Minshew, who has looked better than he did when he was with the Eagles last year.
And he looks better with a mullet, doesn't he? With a mullet. I mean, like, shout out to the 80s.
Hey, I wish I could have a mullet. That'd be awesome.
Right? Johnny, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on Houston and Atlanta?
Personally, I think Houston wins because I think Stroud is a better quarterback in this game. And D'Amico, his defense flies around the football. I watched them against the Steelers, and that defense gets after it. I actually am halfway impressed by Stroud. I didn't think he would pan out this way, this fast, but he's actually pretty good from what I've seen for the first 4 games.
He's looking impressive. He really is. All right. So again, talk as long as you want, but we do go through pretty quick, and I have to tell myself as well because I love to talk. Our next game is Carolina and Detroit. I took Detroit. I taken Detroit versus everybody. Shout out Don Burr. Carolina, they're rebuilding. They could be a really, really tough team later on in the stretch right now, but I think they got to figure out who they are. And yeah, they have a rookie quarterback, and I don't want to say someone just threw a grenade in the locker room, but it kind of seems like that. Your thoughts, David?
Well, it seems like the Panthers are, they kind of blew it up last year trading, but they won't trade Byron Burns though. That's kind of interesting right there. It's
Hey, Johnny,
Yeah.
YouTube and hold down the volume. I think.
There we go. Hold on.
No worries.
But yeah, he'll get it. There it is. But so yeah, the Carolina kind of blew it up, but minus Byron Burns. Why won't they trade him? Probably because players like him are hard to come by and they know it. So, he's one of the key pieces they're going to build around, right? But at this point, we still don't know who they are or what they are. They're rebuilding. They could end up with a top 5 pick. And I don't know. I'm actually looking at their injury report, and they have a whole bunch of. Wow, the Panthers aren't giving you a lot of information on a lot of these guys. That's interesting. But Xavier Woods, the free safety, he's out. Austin Corbett, their guard, and Stefan Sullivan are all out. The rest of them are they just have this weird mark by it. I haven't seen that before. But Lions have quite a few on here. Brian Branch, corner, he's out. Jason Kabinda, their fullback, he's out. And Jamari Gibbs, James Mitchell, tight end. Jamari Gibbs is a running back. Ammon Ray St. Brown, all out or doubtful. The rest are questionable. That's
Wow.
interesting. But yeah, this game is being played at Detroit. So I did pick Detroit because Carolina seems to be rebuilding. But what do you think of these two teams, Johnny?
I mean, looking at just how they match up, I would say I still would think Detroit wins. In Carolina's situation, they drafted Bryce Young. He's still a project. I probably wouldn't have thrown into the fire right away. I probably would have let Dalton start the first 5 or 6 games just until the rookie got comfortable, but it's a little bit too late for that. And Carolina, when I'm looking at Bryson play, he looks to run before he passes, which is not a good thing. And eventually he's going to get hurt, which I know he already had the ankle thing earlier in the year. And he doesn't have a lot of weapons on the outside. So I think Detroit wins pretty easily, to be honest, no matter who's out for him.
I think at this point they have the better quarterback. Their quarterback's been to the Super Bowl. They do have a team right now that is like really clinging to their head coach and really listening to like the way the head coach talks at the press conferences and stuff. You can feel the energy that he's giving off at that moment through the locker room. You can feel it through the team. He's bringing a lot of energy, pride, and he's proud. And he wants them to be proud of themselves. And it's taken a long time for Detroit to really turn the corner on this. I mean, you had Matthew Stafford and Megatron for a long time, but that just wasn't enough. It really wasn't. And maybe they moved off their head coaches too many times. But, it's really sad. I mean, like they had Matthew Stafford out there with a broken back, and he literally crawled away from the city. So now, the ashes have settled, everything's coming back out, and you can start breathing. We got this guy, their head coach, and now saying, hey, Detroit something, and we're special. Okay, so we're going to go on to Tennessee and Indianapolis. I'm a believer in Tennessee. I'm volunteering. I'm going to say it. And, the Colts, they definitely have Gardner Minshew. He might be the funnest quarterback to watch in this game, but I don't think he's starting this game. And again, even though it's Indy, this is a divisional game. David, what's your thought? Johnny, I'm going to mute you in between us talking.
Okay,
Perfect.
so
Thank you, Johnny.
at this point, the Titans they have a great head coach. Honestly, I think Mike Vrabel could be possibly the best coach to come out of New England. But truth be told, folks, he was a player, not a coach. So they are at the Colts, who have kind of a young team, but they do have some experienced veterans. This is an interdivision battle. Ought to be a good game. I personally pick the Titans. But when it comes to the injury news, the rookie quarterback, and I believe he is out still, and there will be starting Gardner Minshew.
Oh, whoa. I like Minshew. I'm sorry. I wish we would have got him as a backup. So hearing he's getting a place to start or an opportunity, hey, go for it.
Yeah, all it takes is one injury. That's something we definitely know about, right?
Mm-hmm. Johnny, what's your thoughts?
It's a tough game, honestly. I think it's going to be really close. But when it comes down to it, even though I don't think Tannehill's good at all, he still has Derrick Henry and at least he has DeAndre Hopkins. When in doubt, go to the two playmakers that you actually have. And Tennessee does have a really good defense. That defense is solid. Uh, but I do think Tennessee gets them by a field goal.
I like that. Okay, Giants and Miami. Giants have a giant hole that they have to dig out of, and Miami is filling it up with water. So that's my thoughts. David?
The Giants are right now in the ocean, and they're going to get drug away by some dolphins. We all thought the Giants were going to be better than what they are this year, and I'm honestly thinking they overachieved last year. What else can you say? The Dolphins it's the beginning part of the season, so they're hot.
Yep, they are hot. They can stay hot or they can cool off. They will have to determine that because that's kind of been the Dolphins. They either storm themselves into the playoffs or they play well enough to miss it. Johnny, what's your thoughts on the Giants in Miami?
Miami beats them by at least 2 scores. The Giants simply are just a bottom 5 roster. And it's on both sides of the ball. The offensive line is not very good. The defensive line is not very good. They need that team, from what I've seen so far, and it's only 4 games, needs wholesale changes. Because I just watched a guy on Monday get sacked 11 times by a team that doesn't have a good defense. So there's that.
That's true.
New Orleans and New England. Both of them sound new to me. And no, New Orleans seems to have some new problems, and New England are starting to have some very new problems as well that are turning over and over. So it seems like New England has a quarterback problem, and New Orleans is suffering a quarterback problem as well. I'm taking New England in this situation because it's a home game, and I don't think Bill Belichick's going to just lose every game this season. So that's my thoughts. David?
I think New England, they actually reacquired J.C. Jackson from the San Diego Chargers, which I was trying to look at the trade, but I haven't really looked into it in depth. But at this point, Bill Belichick needs a QB. And is it Michael McCorkle Jones or is it Blake Zappi? Nobody knows. I honestly think that they are pretty close to the same player. I think Blake Zappi might have more upside than Michael McCorkle Jones.
Yeah.
Their defense, the big hole has been corner. They've been getting burned in the past game, and that's why they got J.C. Jackson. At this point, they're missing their best pass rusher, though, Matthew Judon. And they're also missing their second corner, Christian Gonzalez. He's also out. But New Orleans, their list is mighty long. Derek Carr with his right shoulder issue. We all saw what he did last week. And at this point, he's listed as questionable. Got to go with the Patriots at home. They just got their butt kicked by, the Cowboys.
What do you think, Johnny?
Honestly, this game's tough because I don't think either team's any good. But when it comes down to it, I lean New Orleans because I think they're at least a healthier defense. And every time I see Mac Jones throw the ball, I thank my lucky stars the 49ers did not pick him. Because I understand we drafted Trey Lance with that pick, but when I look at Mac Jones throw the ball across his body for pick sixes, he's not very good. And what it comes down to for me is, at least with the Saints offense, even if Winston may play, at least you can hand the ball off to Kamara and dump it off to Olave in the flat or Michael Thomas. At least you have skill position players on offense. The Patriots don't anywhere on their offense. Their number one wide receiver, and God bless him, is Kendrick Bourne. It's not doing much for me. I have to lean the Saints in a close one, but uh, it's going to be a close game because both teams are unimpressive to me.
Kendrick Bourne and Brandon Lloyd remind me very similar. They might be different players, totally understand that, but the situation, like Brandon Lloyd was our guy when we didn't have anybody and we let him go. We let him go because we didn't have anybody to complement him on the other side. Kendrick Bourne, not necessarily the same situation. We had other people, and maybe he wasn't getting the ball as much as he should. He was clutch in third downs, but there was just we just needed maybe a little bit more. And I'm not sure exactly what he wasn't giving us that we had to let him go, because he did go to New England and he's played really well. I think they liked Trent Taylor. I think they liked him a whole lot, and then Juwan Jennings coming in kind of replaced both of them. So, but yeah, I'm really liking that one. Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I'm going Baltimore. I think the Ravens come through. I think they're just a stronger team. They have actually an offense, and Pittsburgh cannot just win games with their defense. It's not going to happen. This, even though it's the NFC North, and the Ravens kind of did that a couple years ago, twice, and won a Super Bowl almost. Pittsburgh, I don't see them shaking their terrible towels this game. David, your thoughts?
I was just looking at the injury report because we know a guy that follows the Ravens. Shout out to Levi, Darwin's Ravens.
We got a guy,
and the injury report doesn't look that bad for him. Pittsburgh has 4 guys listed out, 5, including one of their starting offensive linemen, which that sucks. But right now, these guys have 2 guys out. I'm not trying to pronounce that name. And Daryl Worley. I'm not into hacking people's names up. But it's like Odafe Owu. That's just a wild stab at it. I hope it's correct. Both those guys are listed as out, and the rest of them are questionable or, not listed, meaning that they're going to play. So Baltimore's getting healthy going to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's offense hasn't done much. I fully expect the Ravens to take this game.
Johnny, what's your thoughts?
So I know that the last 4 games between these two teams have been decided by 3 points or less, and I know they're normally defensive slugfest. That being said, I know Freiermuth is out for Pittsburgh, and without my better judgment here, as insane as it may sound, I think Pittsburgh wins, and I have no idea why. Just a hunch.
I can see it happening. I can see it happening. They definitely get that defense out there, and when the defense is gelling, they can score. So any given Sunday. So let's go. Philadelphia and LA Rams. I am not a fan of the Rams, but I am not a fan of Philadelphia. I'd really, really, really like to see this game end in a tie, but I think that would mess up the whole schedule standings. It might not hurt us so bad, but it might actually, because the Rams are in our division. So let's just root for a good game. Okay. I think the Eagles are winning, but I wouldn't be upset really too much if the Rams won. I would be a little shocked, but I wouldn't be upset. So, David, your thoughts on the Eagles versus the Rams?
Well, the Eagles are actually missing a key piece of their defense, Fletcher Cox, and they're also going to be missing one of their rotational inside guys, Marlon Tuipulotu. Tupelatu, my bad. And they haven't like hit their stride yet. Either they haven't hit their stride or they're not going to be the same team because they did lose some key players, you know. And a good football team picked up probably the best player they lost, Javon Hargrave. And they're at Levi's South, or I call it Levi's Inglewood, folks, because in my opinion, Levi's South is in Arlington, Texas, and has a big old star on it. But I absolutely hate to do this, but I picked the Eagles because that's what my football brain tells me to do. I'm actually rooting for. I can't even say it. I'm rooting for the Rams
Oh
today
no.
because, home field advantage. Rams have already lost a couple games. I would love to see them pull one out this week, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Eagles are going to beat them. And yes, folks, it hurts to root for them. Y'all know how I feel about the Rams.
Johnny, what's your thoughts? This is the game I'm probably going to have my ear out listening to, but I really don't want to watch at all.
Brian, here's the thing. I'm looking at X's and O's here, and I'm looking at this Crown Eagle team. The back end of that defense, for lack of better terms, isn't good. They get shredded in the secondary. They got guys out back there, and this is a problem for them. You're dealing with Cooper Kupp, who is now back. Now, he might be on a snap count. Don't know. Puka is actually legitimately good, as much as I hate to say it. He's good. And then they got the Tutu Atwell. I actually think Stafford throws for over 300 yards on that secondary, and I think the Rams get him by a field goal. And here's the thing. As much as I hate to root for the Rams, I kind of am, just because I can't stand anything about the Eagles. And Bryant, Jalen Hurts has regressed a little bit. Pull up his numbers, compare him the first 4 games of last year to this year. He's thrown a lot more interceptions. His completion percentage is down a little bit, and I understand how and why he got paid. So it's kind of a natural thing. Once you get paid, you check out, and definitely doesn't look like the same guy from what I've seen the first 4 games of the year.
I think the fumble is still in his head. I'm just saying, So sometimes, I don't think Cam Newton will ever get that fumble out of his head. Do I reach for it? Do I not? Like it was like stop and go. It looked scary there for a second, and I think he regrets not diving on it. We'll see if Hurts can get that shadow, that nightmare out of his head, but I think he's living with it right now. Arizona and Cincinnati, but it's going to be Cincinnati versus Arizona. This is another, I don't think you were here right away. Me and David were talking. I threw out the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals are the 3 teams to go, potentially for the Super Bowl run on the AFC. And David wanted to include the Dolphins. And I could see the Dolphins. They're not going to be in my top 3, of course, but they could be in my top 4 or 5. The Bengals don't look the same. Something's not right. And I don't know if it's Joe Burrow's leg. I don't know if he's just too cool. He's got all those commercials now. Maybe the noise is blocking his. I don't know. Maybe you need to block the noise. Maybe he doesn't have the right song in his head. I don't know. But the Bengals, whether they're wearing orange or white, snow tigers, snow zebras, whatever you want to call them, they are not playing like Cincinnati in the last couple of years. So I am going to take Cincinnati in this game for a bounce back game because I think Arizona is a better team than they want people to know they are. I think they are they're going to fight this whole game. They are going to fight, but I don't think at the end they are going to come out. And I don't think they really care to come out on top in this game. I think they just want to be a thorn in the division. I think they want to play hard against the Seahawks and the Rams and us, the Niners, so they can have rights. But as far as the rest of the league, I don't think they're going to give up on any game. But I don't think they. Well, for what? Right now, the season's not over for them, but I don't think they can. They got to figure out their locker room. They got to figure out their quarterback situation. There's so many just questions just for that team, but they still believe in themselves to a degree. They still go out there and fight a very hard game and play. But I just think this is going to be Cincinnati's bounce back game. This is where, you guys know about Tony the Tiger. They're great, right? And that's what the Bengals are going to be saying, or you'll be saying about the Bengals after this game. David, your thoughts on Cincinnati and Arizona?
At this point, the Bengals have not hit their stride. And I think the Cardinals has. I did pick the Bengals to win this game because the Cardinals are still who are they? No one really knows what they are. And Joe Burrow is not listed on the injury report. That's interesting. That's interesting. Could he be all healed up, ready to go off? Yes, he really could be. But and right now we don't know. Okay, so the Cardinals' best defensive lineman is a defensive end named Ledbetter, and he is listed as out. But I honestly, like I said, I picked the Bengals. I fully expect Joe Burrow and the crew to get things together and start winning games. And right here is a perfect place to do it. They're in the stadium that looks like a curled up rattlesnake in the desert. And, the Cardinals, we still don't know who they are.
I don't think we will until maybe next year. Maybe, mid-season next year. Johnny, your thoughts? Cincinnati Bengals, Arizona Cardinals.
I think the Bengals do win. The thing about Burrow, from just observing his injury, he don't go outside the pocket anymore because I don't think his body is allowing him to. That being said, after they just got embarrassed last week by Tennessee, at this point for them it's now or never. Because if they drop to 1-4, they're essentially done.
Yeah, that they fall out. My comes right in. Top 3. All right, let's jump to the Jets and the Broncos. The Jets, guys, I had all this high hope about, and it was high hope, all this hope about Aaron Rodgers coming in and the Jets being good and maybe it being a Super Bowl matchup against the Niners and the Niners beating Aaron Rodgers one more good time. That was my dream. Then I woke up to reality. Aaron played four snaps and his ankle snapped, right? Tore, however you want to put it. And they are saying, oh, he's got this experimental surgery that they're going to be taking place. And if they make it to the playoffs, he's going to be good to come out. And, they make it to the playoffs. Are you putting Aaron Rodgers back out there? No. That you got to run with the quarterback you got. And if they can get Zach Wilson to stop looking at, we'll be nice. Stop looking at other things that you shouldn't be looking at and look at the things you should be looking at on the field. And, maybe keep your personal life personal. And then people like me don't know that kind of stuff and won't take shots. I don't like taking shots at people, but it is a little alarming when you got a bunch of people on your team wearing your backup's name instead of your name. You pissed off the locker room. And it's happened before in New York. They busted Geno Smith's jaw when he pissed off the locker room. Then he had to change lockers. He still was in the same stadium, but he went to play for the Giants. And now it's funny, he's not a Jet or a Giant, but he's still wearing blue and green. So that's just, I don't know how it worked out for him that way, but he's now wearing blue and green with Seattle. But with the Jets in Denver's not much better. They really aren't. They have maybe a better quarterback and maybe a better coach if you think about it. But Saleh is really good, and there's no shots or cracks at Saleh. He needs a little bit more time. I think he knew Wilson wasn't his quarterback after year one. I really do, and I think that's why they got Rodgers. But Rodgers isn't going to be the savior this year. If he comes back next year, then that's something. But how long can you really count on Rodgers? I mean, he was supposed to play 2 years and be done, and now this year's gone for him. So I'm taking Denver. It's in Mile High. The Jets are going to have to come there. I know they can fly in, but it's still going to be pretty high in the air, and I don't think they're going to be ready for that weather or that atmosphere. David, your thoughts on the Jets and the Denver Broncos?
I picked the Jets because the Broncos are just not a good football team. It's the trade deadline coming up. They're already sold us Randy Gregory for pretty much a stale bag of chips. And at this point, the Jets have a defense. They have a really solid defense. That's why I'm picking the Jets. The Broncos have a really solid kicker. Took me a second to think of something fun.
We enjoy kicker and punter, jokes. We kick the hell out of them over here. We really do. We like them. So go ahead, David.
But yes, I have the Jets winning this because the Broncos are they're just not a good football team. Even if they have Russell Wilson, who says he can cook, but so far he hasn't served.
Johnny, what's your thoughts on this game?
Well, I just want to say I feel bad for the people who have tickets for this game. So with that being said, when it comes down to it, I'm going with the team with the better defense, which is the Jets, because Denver is fire sailing, and that's fine. If the Niners want to make another call to get Patrick Surtain II, I'm good with it. But Russell Wilson looks a step slow to me, just in terms of whether it's his age or not, because he doesn't do what he used to do, which is scramble around, keep the play alive, and then find someone open. He doesn't do that anymore. And I think the Jets' defense will be the reason they win this game.
Yes, I have to agree with that assessment. And, just the fact that it's at Mile High, all you have to do, there's some practice fields in the area that you can actually rent and you can go to earlier in the week and get acclimated to that, elevation.
And David, just to piggyback off that, I've watched the Denver defense give up 35 to Washington and 70 to Miami. I can't back a team with a defense that clearly isn't very good.
Yes, that's true.
Have you guys heard the Red Hot Chili Pepper song, Just Give It Away? It's kind of what they're doing there. They're just giving it away. Guys, Kansas City, Minnesota is really funny that, Johnny, you said, you feel bad for those people. I kind of feel bad for these people at this game because Kansas City, the only thing you're going to be looking at is Taylor Swift, right? Do you guys like that? I got to say it. I mean, there's not much more in this game. It's like there's Kansas City. They're going to come in. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been playing, like he has in the last couple of years. The offense for the Kansas City Chiefs are not the same. Minnesota Vikings are not the same. Who was it in the chat? Somebody threw it out there. I think it was Damian Lee who threw it out in the chat that Minnesota might trade Cousins to the Patriots. Now that would actually be. I've been thinking the Jets, but the Patriots, that makes a lot of sense, right? So, I don't even know why I wrote down Minnesota. I really did. Tony wrote down Kansas City. I wrote down Minnesota. I'm going to stick with my pick, but this is going to be Kansas City's game. It really is. I think the only reason I decided Minnesota is because it's a home game, and maybe they can pull off an upset. But your thoughts, David? What do you think? KC coming in, bringing the Swifty effect, or is it going to be Minnesota?
I think the Swifty effect is in full effect. Yes. Well, if you look at Kansas City and what they've done so far this year, they've been barely winning football games. Then you look at the Vikings and what they've done, they've been losing football games in the same manner. So it just goes together well. I picked Kansas City to win this game because Minnesota, they don't have a defense. Their offense consists of Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. And, two guys can't. I don't think they could carry that whole football team against the Chiefs.
Real quick, guys, Steve-O said you can't trade a starting quarterback during the season. I thought you could trade anybody. They just had to say yes and get the owner of the team to sign it. But I could be wrong. Johnny, what's your thoughts? KC, Minnesota.
So, Brian, as you know, I am in Vegas. In that game, weird things have happened. The Chiefs originally opened up as a 6-point favorite. It's down to 3.5. So that tells you one of two things. Nobody trusts Kansas City with the way they just played against the Jets, which legitimately they could have lost that football game. It's a second straight road game for Kansas City. I don't really trust their defense like that. And I actually think Hawkinson has a huge game against them. So with that being said, I got Minnesota by 3.
Ooh.
I like that. You guys like that? I like saying that. If you didn't know, if you've watched the shows in the background, when Cousins came out in Washington and yelled that, I was like, this guy's never going to be able to live that down. And I like that because at least it wasn't something horrible, right? Okay, let's skip Dallas and San Francisco for a second, and we'll come back. Let's go to Green Bay and Las Vegas. I will be watching this game. This is a fun game for me. At least every time these two teams get together, it's fun for me as a matchup. All my uncles, my dad has 4 brothers. My mom has a brother. They're all Packer fans. It's really weird. My dad's the only Raider fan out of a family full of Packer fans and a family full of Celtic fans. My dad turned out to be a Laker fan and a Raider fan. Go figure, right? But he moved to California. So, there you go. My family's Midwest people. So, Mid-East, actually, I guess you'd say it like that. Green Bay and Las Vegas, and all my brothers, again, sorry, they're all Raider fans. So, when these two teams sit down, this is my time where I get to sit down and take jokes and shots at both teams. And everybody loves me because when I say it against one person, then they're, hey, and I'm in the middle, right? I'm the Niners, so I get to be in the island. I like Green Bay. I think it's a season of love. Jimmy Garoppolo is not playing. He's hurt. Even if he's playing, I think he's just. I don't think they have an offense that he can run. They have an offense that he can do really well in, but he's the one throwing the interceptions. And I've watched the early part of the games for the Raiders, and he's done really well. But then there was a flag that wasn't given or called. And it changed the game, like how the Bills and the Raiders played a couple weeks ago. The Raiders were fighting. They were getting at Josh Allen. They are formidable. They are not a horrible team. But when Jimmy throws an interception, it's all downhill from there. They have a good wide receiver. They have good playmakers. They have a good running back. Their coach isn't even. Their coach is not the problem. Their coach needs to believe in himself. And then the team will believe in him. But regardless of that, Raiders can come out and win. This is a home game for them. I just think Green Bay has to come back. They need to bounce back. They should have won the game in Atlanta. They should be better than they are right now. But they're finding themselves as well. And they're finding themselves with the young quarterback. So I have coined it. I've said it a couple times. It's the season of love. I'm going to give it to David. I'm saying Green Bay.
I'm giving it to Green Bay too because the Raiders just haven't played good football. James Richard Garoppolo is throwing to the other team. His old bad habit has become a problem. Now that he's not with us. And I honestly don't think Josh McDaniels is from that Patriots coaching tree, and there's really nothing to talk about there other than, the former player Mike Vrabel. No one that has left the Patriots coaching staff to be a head coach somewhere else has worked out. And at this point, you can add Josh McDaniels to that list. I just don't see. I think Jordan Love is going to come in and he's going to spread the love all over the field, and they're going to win the game.
Johnny, what's your thoughts, man? Is it the season of love in Green Bay?
So I'm picking Green Bay, even though I don't like their wide receivers at all. But it's mainly because the Raiders find ways to lose. Also, the Raiders' offensive line is horrific. My buddy has season tickets to the Raiders. I went to the Steeler game, the opener. That offensive line's going to get Garoppolo hurt. He's already concussed. And no matter how much Devontae Adams is going to go off against his former team, that's going to happen. What can go wrong with the Raiders will. And that is why I'm thinking Green Bay wins. Mainly because at the end of the day, you can't trust the Raiders not to lose. So Green Bay gets the win.
I like it. Corey, you made it almost out, but we are still here. We are glad you made it. We're talking Green Bay, your favorite quarterback of the season, we know. Larry, I'm sorry. Corey has this thing with Jordan Love, and he's not in love or not in love. He just wants to see more. And Corey, your thoughts? Is it going to be Green Bay or Las Vegas?
It's gonna be love because it's gonna be Green Bay. I don't think the Raiders. I don't know. I just don't trust the Raiders no more in them winning. They just don't show me anything that they can win this game yet. So I'm going with the love.
So since you are the newest one here, we're going to start it out with you. Dallas versus San Francisco. Anything you want to say? Anything? Any injuries? Any history? Any stats? Any facts that we need to know? Anything? What are you cooking? What are you eating today? What do we need to know about the Cowboys versus the Niners?
One thing is going to be a tough game. I believe. I don't think it's going to be easy to beat the Cowboys. They probably pretty good defense. So, but if we don't turn the ball over, don't make mistakes, and we get them to make mistakes, we can beat them. And plus, if we score like up to 30 points every time we score 30, we win.
Yeah.
And yes, this Dallas and 49ers game go way back. I hated when that was something made me so mad when they traded Charles Haley to the Cowboys. Why would you do that? Why would you send him to a rival team?
Yeah.
Send him to the AFC. And then when we traded him, it came back and bit us. I was so mad. I was like, man, why? Why 49ers? Why would you do that? And see, I hate that Trey Lance went over there to the Cowboys, but I don't see him hurting the 49ers like Charles Haley did, because he was one of our great pass rushers. I was glad to see him come back, and then I hated to see when Dion went over there too. I was hoping we could sign him another year deal or 2 more years, 3 more years deal, but it didn't happen. He went to the Cowboys as a free agent. And I was like, oh, now him wearing it. And then I was surprised when T.O. went to the Cowboys. I didn't think they would sign him after he did that star stuff on him.
Yeah.
But it was funny that he went there, and I'm like, damn, why is everybody going? Our, all our good players are going to the Cowboys. Go somewhere else.
Yeah,
But
that's a
I
good
think
point.
I picked us to win this game, and I think I picked us to win 35-24.
Here's the picture you're talking about. This is what he did. He did it twice in the game.
Yep.
Owens was playing. We were playing in Dallas. He caught the ball from Jeff Garcia, ran to the middle of the field and put it down. And then he got tackled, stood back up. He didn't care. It didn't hurt. And he stood there in the middle of Dallas and got booed and, everything. It was awesome. And then Emma Smith scored a touchdown and he ran to Dallas and put the ball on the ground on the star on his knee, looked up at the stadium. He tried to do it a little bit more respectful to the star and the Cowboys fans, right? And then the next thing you know, T.O. did it again. He said, JJ, meet me in the same spot. And he went running out there again. So I think that was the second time he got tackled. Maybe I can't remember.
Yeah, that's
but
the second time he got tackled when he
second time, yeah.
player said, "No, you're not gonna do this again."
You're
I
not
can't
doing
think who it
it.
was, but also I know me and this guy got in the me and this lady got in an argument about that play. And I said, you know why he went to the center and did that? Why he looked up in the air? He in the old Dallas Stadium, it it had the roof was open there. See, end zone, you looking at the roof, but if you go in the center of the field, you see the sky. So if you read his lips, when they show his lips, he said, "Thank you, God," and that's what he was doing. But Dallas took it like, "Oh, he's disrespecting us."
Mm-hmm.
But what he really was doing, going where he could see God, and that was in the middle of that field.
Hey, I enjoyed it when it happened. I thought it was a little bit, like okay, it is a little bit like him. This is the player who pulled a Sharpie out of his sock and
Yep.
he scored a touchdown. This is the player that grabbed popcorn and threw it in his face mask. This is the player who took pom poms from a cheerleader. So it is. He is an entertainer. He has done
Yep.
multiple things.
Yep. And
I like.
you
Go
see that
ahead.
commercial? His commercial for the
The one
for the game.
he's got the helmets in the middle of the table.
Yep, and then he said, "I'll come for both sides." He showed him as a 49er, then they show him as a Cowboy.
T.O. All right. So you had mentioned T.O. I threw up Dion as well. You mentioned him. Dion went from the Niners to the Cowboys. Wish we could have kept him around
Yep.
a lot longer, but I think him and Jerry Rice weren't getting along.
No,
This is another great one right here. Larry Allen. He'll be probably really remembered for him being in Dallas. We got him at the end of his career. He was good for us. I think we had him for 2 or 3 seasons. I can't remember, but it was nice to have him on. And then here's your man that you were talking about, the difference maker, Mr. Charles Haley. And we did get him back at the end of his career, but it was just a little too late. And this guy is probably the reason that Dallas got the 3 Super Bowls that they got. So
And did you show all the players that we got from the Cowboys?
Those are the four. Those are three right there. I have one, Charles Haley, Larry Allen, Dion. Yeah, those are the four. And then we had one more, and it was in Tony's thumbnail. Let me see if I got her thumbnail right here. Last night she made a thumbnail, and it was um, Gene Hayes. I think that was his name. And he was a Cowboy. He was a Cowboy for 10 years, and last year he went to the 49ers. And he also won an Olympic medal.
Do you know who else come from the Cowboys? His daddy was a boxer. His daddy was a boxer. He was our linebacker, number 51.
Ken Norton
Jr.
Yeah, that was a good acquisition to acquire him. I was a little upset when he went up there to Seattle and started coaching up there, and he actually chose Seattle over us. We asked him if he wanted to coach for us, and he chose the 12th man. So, okay, we see you there, Ken, Mr. Norton.
And
all right, so
he used to punch the goalpost when he'd make a play. If he made an interception or a good play, he'll get in the end zone. He'll go in there and punch the goalpost, doing his daddy react.
Yeah, left, right. Yeah. Okay, so Dallas and San Francisco. This is the 19th and 19th. It's 19-19-1. It sounds like a year, right? No, it's legitimate. We played them 19 times, and we played them 39 times. 19 times we've won, 19 times we've lost. One time we tied. The tie was 24-24, and it was like our fifth or sixth game that we played them in history. The matchup goes back to 1960. The Niners beat Dallas the first time. It was, I think, in the Cotton Bowl. Then we go on and, we lost a couple games. The most we've lost to the Cowboys in a row is 5. I think the most we've beat them in a row was 6, if I'm correct. We had a hard time with them in the early 60s, but it was kind of back and forth. The 70s, we couldn't get past the Cowboys. Our first three playoff appearances, 70, 71, and 72, we lost it in the playoffs to the Cowboys. The first two matchups were NFC championship games. We went several years, the Cowboys, back and forth with Steelers, going back to the Super Bowl several times. It took us until 1980. We got our butt kicked bad. It was 14-59, if I'm correct. The Niners got destroyed. Then the next game, the Niners, we put 45 points up on them. It was 14-45. And that's from there on, from 81 all the way up until like 1991 or 92. Did we not? We were winning. The Cowboys, they won a couple of the most important games during the 90s, the NFC championship games. They did win the last Super Bowl that the two franchises have, actually been to. But the Cowboys have not had our numbers since the Dion acquisition, since everything. Maybe Charles Haley coming back to the Niners had something to do with it. But since then, we lost Steve Young. They lost Troy Smith, Troy Aikman. They had a good quarterback with Tony Romo for a short period of time. We had Jeff Garcia. We finally got, we went through it. Kaepernick. You guys remember Kaepernick went to Dallas. I think we put 40 points up on him in Dallas. It was like 40-7.
Kaepernick went to Dallas?
Yeah, in 2011, I believe we went to, it was 2011 or 2012, we put up 40 points against the Cowboys.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So
I heard you, Ralph.
We've had some good battles back and forth, but then they've had some ugly games against us where they played really well, and it was ugly for us. I think the last really bad beating was Dak Prescott came into Santa Clara and beat the Niners. It was, I want to say 40-7 or 40-17. It was ugly. So I want a good game. It's a nighttime game. This is the first time we've played them on Sunday night since 1995 or something like that. It's been a very long time. So this is now the league going all the way through everybody. We've only had the league for 77 something years. There's only been 50 something Super Bowls, 54 Super Bowls. And the Niners and the Cowboys have both been the Niners have been to 7 Super Bowls. The Cowboys have been to 8 Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowls. We have 10 world championships out of the league. There's only 32 teams in the league. We are better The league is better when the Niners are winning and the Cowboys are winning. I don't like playing the Cowboys, but it's always a good game. And I picked the Niners. My wife picked the Niners, and I'm looking forward to it being a great game. David, I've talked a lot. Let me give it to you. We'll give it to Johnny. And thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you all.
At this point, the Dallas defense has actually looked pretty good, but they haven't really played a high-powered offense yet. Someone that's putting up 30 points a game, stuff like that. So at this point, it's at Santa Clara, it's at Levi's Stadium. We're at home. Dallas is coming to town. I do expect a slugfest. Like on my pick'ems, I picked at 23-20 Niners. My head's telling me 31-17. So, but the way I look at it is I don't care if we win at 17-16. A W is a W. So I'm expecting a good show tonight. I'm expecting a good game. I hope our defense shows up and starts to get in a groove. We did acquire a player, Randy Gregory, and none of us know if he's actually playing tonight yet. He might.
He's
he
not
might
playing
not.
because he's still. Yeah, he's not playing. What we found out is he's actually moving with his family from Denver. So he's going to actually be traveling with his family. So he won't be playing this game.
Okay.
And shout out to Corey. If you guys noticed, our new Bronco 49er is wearing number 5. And I believe, if I'm correct, Corey, do you have his jersey? Are you one of the first people in 49er country to have a Gregory jersey?
No.
Yeah, he's already got his jersey. Corey's on it.
No, this Trey Lance.
I don't know if he'll wear 5, but I think 5's open. It's a bad joke, but yeah, he definitely has a spot. Johnny, what's your thoughts? Dallas coming to the Niners. Oh, he's going to wear 92?
I mean, this is going to sound kind of nonchalant, but true. And when I think about this game, I've heard for an entire week how great the Dallas defense is. And here's my issue with this whole situation. No one's even talking about the 49er defense, which I'm fine with, actually. But here's the reality of the situation. I understand what the Cowboys have done with who they've played. But look at the teams they've beaten offensively. The Giants, Jets, and the Patriots. We're not exactly talking about teams with offensive firepower. The issue I have here with the Cowboys is pretty much in the one game, they actually needed their quarterback to play quarterback for 4 quarters. He couldn't do it. And if I had to guess, and I'm normally pretty spot on, I think their quarterback will throw 2 picks tonight. When I look at Dak, and he's been in the league for 8 years, can anyone say with a straight face Dak Prescott right now is better than Brock Purdy?
Dak Prescott is – no, I can't say it. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
No, and that's what it comes down to for me. Brock doesn't make very many mistakes. If someone at that position is going to make a mistake, it's going to be Dak. Because what McCarthy's done the first 4 games of this year, he has tried to protect his quarterback. It's a good move. But tonight, he's not going to be able to. Because when I look at the Cowboys offense, the red zone offense is absolutely atrocious. It's terrible. And Pollard's not going to be able to run on us. So it's going to be on Dak to make plays with his arm. And I think the Niners defense will have a lot to say about that. So I'm even going to give you a score prediction. 31-17 Niners.
I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad. I said 42-24. I'm trying to be a little funny here. I think, we've been scoring 30 plus. This last game we scored 35. I predicted 34-17. Game turned out to be 35.
You definitely.
So I'm looking forward to it. Guys, it's been a great show. Always fun. We are going to try to keep this Sunday show a little shorter. We're trying to do a little bit of a breakdown, give you a little bit of an injury report, talk about the game a little bit. We will have different guests on. Johnny's not always here, but we appreciate when we get Johnny, and we're going to get Johnny some earbuds so we can cancel out the echo. But anytime I can get Johnny on is awesome. Corey, what's going on with your show today? Are we going to be able to jump on, check you out? Are you streaming the game?
Yeah, I'm still streaming the game tonight, and Johnny, I see you doing the picks on the show here, so I do the pick'ems every Wednesday on my show. We do the pick'ems. The two guys with me up there, they come. So you are invited to come to my show and do the pick'ems with us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time.
If you can't stay the whole show, or if you can't make the show, but you still want your picks to be recorded, you can message them to me or Corey, and Corey will write them down. And then throughout the show, when we do talk about the picks, your name will be highlighted. And, again, sometimes you can't, family happens. We can't always be, everywhere all the time or spend a lot of time. But if you do want to pop in and give a little bit of analysis during Corey's pick'ems, there's so many of us, so we can't really give a breakdown of the game or say so many jokes that we have maybe during this moment. But, you want to come in and say something real quick, and be heard, or if you just want to play along with us at the end of the season, Corey does something pretty cool. This guy next to me over here, you got to watch out for him. He's pretty good with the pickups, and he's like the leader of the pickups from last season. So we have the reigning champ sitting next to me. So
by two games, both. I didn't dominate. It was close.
If it's one or two or three, or if it's half a point, it's domination. You won. But guys, check us out. Check us out later on Corey's show. Corey, is it going to be 5:15 you're going? Is it 5:20 you're starting?
Okay. 5:15.
So guys, pop in if you can bring something to drink, nice beverage, something to eat. Enjoy the game with us. I'll be there. David will be there. Johnny, if you have time, you want to pop in, say hello. I'm sure that'll be awesome. But wherever you're at tonight, be safe. Enjoy the game. Hopefully you can be around friends or family. If not, and you need somebody to hear it or listen to or talk to, tune in to Corey Davis' show tonight. And we'll see you guys there. David McNiner, he's my buddy. He's always around. Corey's my buddy. And anytime we get Johnny, we're going to have Johnny on as well. Thank you guys all for coming. Go Niners. Stay healthy. We'll see you next time.
Go Niners and F the Lambs.
Go Niners and F them Cowboys right now.
Back.